Namaskar, I am Dr. Ravishankar, Project Coordinator, AICRP on Integrated Farming Systems and National PA All India Network Program on Organic Farming at ICR Indian Institute of Farming System Research, Modipuram. I am going to talk to you regarding natural farming under the Indian conditions, how this natural farming is applicable under the Indian conditions, what are all the opportunities and challenges, and what are all the different Indian version of natural farming on food systems, ecosystem services, human health, etc. So, when you talk about the natural farming, it is not a new one. It was practiced earlier in different forms. There are 8 different forms in which our Indian traditional farming system was relying to maintain grow the crops and also they manage the crops for the better productivity. The one was the organic farming, which is otherwise referred as the Jaivik Kheti, Jaivik Krishi, which avoids or largely excludes the synthetics in the farming. Avoids means it completely avoids the use of synthetics, whereas in some cases, wherever there is some kind of incidence of pest and diseases or some soil related constraints, certain chemical based inputs, minerals, especially the minerals, are allowed under the organic farming and having the international standards. Whereas if you see the natural farming, it is locally prepared cow-based products such as Bijamrit, Jivamrit, Ganjivamrit and others. And along with the Achdana, Vapsa and intercropping. These are the core components of the natural farming. Basically, the Jivamrit prepared using the undisturbed soil as well as the undisturbed native soil or the soil under the trees as well as the cow dung and cow urine, which are normally used for this improving the soil biological activities. The recycling of biomass, diversified crop stand, cattle urine and slurry are also integral part of the natural farming. Some of the other methods of farming there in our Indian traditional farming systems were biodynamic farming, like making a compost from the dead materials and then that is used as for rejuvenating the soil. These called like cow pad manures such as BD 500 to 507, these are available in the market. Still, some of the farmers, they are also using this type of biodynamic materials and also applying in the soil. The another form is the Rishi Kisi. It is basically drawn from the Vedas. It uses 15 kg of virgin rhizosporic soil from the banyan tree only. Like natural farming, we can use the undisturbed soil from forest, bunds under the tree. But in the Rishi Kisi, it was only recommended that only rhizosporic soil from the banyan tree was used. And it was mixed with ghee, cow dung as well as honey and water to go for the seed treatment, soil application as well as the foliar spray. Like that is Beej Sanskar, Bhumi Sanskar and also the Padap Sanskar. So this was the another one way of traditional farming system wherein some components of the natural farming were practiced in the earlier days. Then the Panchagavya Krishi, which is a traditional system, or now also many of the farmers are using this Panchagavya for enriching the soil, inducing the plant vigor as well as the improving the quality of the products. Panchagavya material is prepared from the 5 products of the cow, that is dung, urine, milk, curd and ghee. So all these type of farming systems are having the either one or other way there is a relationship to the current form of natural farming practices being promoted. The another form of farming, that is native farming, that is neighborhood resource enrichment by additive regeneration, rather than through the dependence on the external chemical inputs or the commercial inputs. Like a principle of you help me, I will help you. So in this principle, this native farming also having the concept, and this basically relies on the soil enrichment through the concoctions and then root development and also the canopy management through the prunings and also plant density management. Then the homo farming is the another method of traditional systems wherein the healing of the atmosphere is found to be heal the plants and also the animals and also the human being. This is the spiritual practice, dates back to the Vedic period, and as which is resulting of the puja is used to energize the compost plants and animals to rejuvenate or increase the nutrients from the soil. And the permaculture or the eco-agriculture, that is based on the earthworm and soil biodiversity development based farming, which is mainly used for this enhancing the sustainability. Although we have tested all these type of important practices, the final conclusion is that science-led promotion of different forms of natural farming is essential because each of the traditional system is having the one or other advantages, and that is to be drawn and interlocked into the new farming systems, wherein we can get the comparable productivity apart from the all the other advantages. That's what exactly the natural farming, which relies on the on-farm inputs such as Jivamrit, Kanjivamrit, and also the Bijamrit, then botanical based concoctions for pest and disease management, mulching and intercropping, again proven practices of science. So these natural farming practices mixes the both science as well as the tradition for improving the productivity as well as the soil fertility of the crops. And there are certain principles which are there in the natural farming which helps to maintain the soil cover, again increases the water conservation and also the reducing the unwanted plants germination in the cultivated field. So these type of advantages are expected in the natural farming. Now at the global level, One Health concept is being talked much. The One Health means it starts from the soil health to the plant health to the animal health to the environmental health and also the global health. So in this process, natural farming play a very important role, as the enrichment of soil is being done under the natural farming with the abundant non-use of the chemicals. Natural based inputs are used for the enrichment of the soil, and the temperature of the soil is managed through the soil covered using the crop residues or the cover crops, and also the planting trees and bushes on the bund. Then conservation of soil and rainwater, again very important aspect in the natural farming, through the percolation tanks and also the maintaining the contour bunds, reduced tillage and minimum tillage. This helps for the conservation of soil and rainwater. Because of presence of multiple crop, polycropping and also the agroforestry systems in the natural farming system, it also enables for the harvesting of the sun energy. Then the self-reliance in the inputs. It does not allow for the use of inputs from the outside the farm, and most of these inputs are available prepared at the local level. So there is a self-reliance is possible through the natural farming. Then the maintenance of life forms. Again, with the advent of chemical-based farming, the most of the areas are converted into monocrop-based systems like rice wheat systems, whereas the natural farming promotes the crop diversification, which is again one of the important component of the sustainable agriculture. Then integration of animals is an integral part of natural farming for preparing the concoctions, and this is being also used as the manure for the enriching the soil. Then renewable energy sources are more dependent in the natural farming compared to the non-renewable energy sources. So these points all aids for the supporting the natural farming as a one of the alternative production system to achieve the One Health concept, which is being talked to achieve the holistic empowerment of the people and also the planet. Modern concepts of natural farming, it's also integrates the many of the good practices from the scientific field. Mulching, intercropping, then livestock integration, then your utilization of this green leaf manuring, multivariate cropping, leguminous cropping systems. There are many practices. These are integrated into the current form of natural farming systems, and we have studied some of the farmers who are practicing natural farming in the Himachal Pradesh and Kerala. What we found is that the farmers are growing not only limited to the selected crops, they are growing many type of crops in the natural farming. Say for example, in Himachal Pradesh, farmers were growing cauliflower, cabbage, potato, wherein the Jivamrit was applied at the rate of 500 liter per hectare per time, twice a month, and Kanjivamrit was applied at the rate of 250 kg per hectare at sowing, and Bijamrit for the seed treatment. In addition to these concoctions, the farmers were also applying their own farm organic manures available, which is the like farmer manure, which was available in their own farm. They were applying in the natural farming, which is very essential in the initial stage of the natural farming. They are applying at the rate of 0.8 tons per hectare. And then for managing the pest and diseases, the Dasperni extract and also the copper enriched sour buttermilk, these ingredients are used by the farmers, and these are prepared locally by the farmers, Indian farmers. The cost of natural farming concoctions and plant protection and also the weeding was found to be significantly reduced compared to the conventional farming practices. And our analysis indicated that 30% of the farmers, they practiced in their part of their land, whereas 70% of their farmers practicing in their whole land under the natural farming. The yield of pea, cauliflower, potato ranged from 8 to 19 tons per hectare under the natural farming. So under the Indian conditions, especially under the hilly situations like Himachal Pradesh, this is very much possible with the available resources among the farmers to promote the crop diversity, crop diversification, and also they promote the best proven scientific practices under the natural farming. Similarly, if you see the Kerala, the basic principle of natural farming advocates for growing of the annuals with perennials or the different type of crops like vegetables, roots, below ground, above ground, like multi-tier cropping systems are promoted under the natural farming. And here also most of the studied farmers, they were practicing intercropping, mulching, Jivamrit application, Ganjivamrit application, and also the Bijamrit application. And it was also found that the farmers not only maintained cow, they were also maintaining goat, poultry, duck. All these waste materials are being recycled back to the farm by having the organic recycling units. These farmers are also benefiting due to their improvement in the quality of the producers also, and also the reduction in the cost of cultivation that has helped them to increase their income over a period of time. Important aspect in the conventional systems, the export commodities, especially turmeric and many spices, the export consignments are getting rejected due to the more amount of pesticides in the final producers due to the indiscriminate application of the pesticides and the fertilizers. So the natural farming, which completely avoids the chemical pesticides, we analyze the quality of the producers under the natural farming also, especially for the turmeric. The important parameters like curcumin, oil, oleoresin, they were found to be better under the natural farming compared to the other management practices. So by way of improving the quality of the producers, the farmers can also get additional income for improved quality. That is again very important point, especially for the domestic as well as the export market. Natural farming can be very easily practiced with the on-farm available resources. Then the quantification and valuation of this ecosystem benefits like our yield and also the direct benefits. The indirect benefits such as improvement in soil quality, contribution to the environmental improvement, then human health, animal health, all these invisible effects needs to be quantified and valued, and that benefits extended to the farmers, and that can be done by measuring the ecological benefits, economic efficiency of the natural farming system, and also how this natural farming is helping for the social equity. So this way one should also aim for quantifying the ecological benefits and by monetizing to the farmers. So nowadays in the voluntary carbon market emerging as one of the important player in the agriculture, through which also the farmers can earn additional income. So this voluntary carbon market, the natural farming provides a very good platform by promoting the eco-friendly farming practices, such as without chemicals, the soil fertility are improved, carbon sequestration is happening due to the mulching, and biological nitrogen fixation is happening due to the leguminous intercropping, and also the many other practices. Voluntary carbon market also can be harvested for the benefit of the natural farming farmers. They can also get the additional income through this voluntary carbon market also. When we promote natural farming in under Indian situations, there are 4 different situations arises. One is under the rainfed situation. Basically, they are low input areas, less resource farmers. They do not go for application of much of the market inputs like chemical fertilizer and also the pesticides. Wherein if we promote this type of good agronomic practices along with the concoctions of natural farming, this is going to result in the increased yield from the beginning of the natural farming itself. So that will again constantly and significantly improve the yield and also income for the farmers. Whereas in the irrigated ecosystems, wherein the high intensive cropping systems are there, wherein if legume crops are grown, the yields are going to be similar, or some of the crops it may be higher, or some of the crops it may be little lower also during the transition period. So in this case, the economics of ecosystems and biodiversity capital's approach needs to be employed by quantifying the yield, by quantifying the quality improvement, and then by quantifying the natural contribution like soil health improvement, water storage, energy, as well as the climate contributions. How these natural farming can be promoted by valuing these contributions, invisible contributions. Like in human capital also, there is a healthy food, there is a employment generation on account of preparation of these concoctions and also its frequent applications in the field, less exposure to the chemicals for the human being on the chemical pesticides. So these are all the benefits human capitals we can account it. And also the social capital also, it is going to improve, like reduce the paid out cost, and also the social equity, women empowerment. More and more women can involved in preparing these concoctions and spraying into the soil, because these are not going to be purchased from the market. So this way we can also help the farmers exactly quantifying the benefits of natural capital, human and social capital and produced capital, and encash the voluntary carbon market to earn the additional income in the coming years under the natural farming. Hence, also this agro-ecosystem analysis based integrated pest management is very, very important, comprising the components of non-pesticidal management approaches like use of these biocontrol agents, and also these ecological engineering aspects for the management of pest and diseases, then reducing the use of pesticides to enable the more and more natural enemy population in the field, and also the crop diversity, which can provide the diversity of the producers for the multiple natural enemy population. So this type of practices needs to be promoted under the natural farming in order to have the successful practice. So just to conclude, there are many sustainable agriculture practices and systems are followed in India, like agroforestry system, precision farming, natural farming, integrated farming system, conservation agriculture. There are many are there. So we have to draw the best practices from each of these, and then that can be integrated to the natural farming to enhance the resilience, enhance the productivity, and also enhance the ease of doing the operations in the field. Then what is the way forward for promoting the natural farming in India is the sustainability can be achieved or enhanced by promoting through the integrated farming systems approach, because the natural farming requires the preparation of concoctions. If concoctions are prepared from outside and brought, then it again increases the cost, and also the quality issues will rise. So integrated farming system approach comprising of livestock plus crop will enable for the more promotion of the natural farming. Then all the practices of natural farming such as multivariate cropping, concoctions, mulching, intercropping, etc. needs to be adopted in integrated and holistic way. Especially the time of operations are very, very important in natural farming. For example, mulching, if it is done 1 week delayed mulching, then there will be a lot of weeds emergence will be there, your moisture will be lost. So there is a very critical time-based operations are very, very important. Then building up of soil fertility through the organic sources of nutrient in the initial stage by using the on-farm available organic manures is very much essential, especially when we start natural farming in the high input areas. Then scientifically proven eco-friendly farming practices such as non-pesticidal management techniques needs to be applied. Just to conclude this in one line, that natural farming not only enhances the soil physical, chemical and biological properties in a concurrent way, it provides the healthy food for the livestock, human, and also it reduces the carbon footprints in the environment, and yield of crops can be also achieved with a proper application of all the natural farming practices. Thank you, Ananda.